Hello, and welcome back once again, everyone. This is episode 4 of Atama's Review Corner. This video game review is done for Gamestrata.com, which is a gamer's community connection to next-generation gaming. Where do you rank? I'm your host, Atama Darkening. Today, I will be reviewing Silent Hill Homecoming for the Xbox 360. Now that the usual introductions are out of the way, on to the review. The story of the game is evil welcomes Alex Shepard back home in search of his missing brother. But to find him, Alex will have to journey into the heart of evil and pick up the pieces to a puzzle he does not understand. Can he survive the horrors of Silent Hill? For starters, unlike most Silent Hills that place enemies that pop out of nowhere and sometimes frightens the player, especially after being tortured by its psychological noise and build-up, it is now replaced by frequent encounters. Sometimes, if you even wait in one spot outside, the creatures of Silent Hill will continue to come forever, taking away from the excitement that came with the previous titles. So instead, at certain times, for me it felt like I was trapped in a small room with enemies at all sides. However, this was happening on the streets of Silent Hill, and I should have felt like I had enough room. Even worse, as the player makes his way through the game, they may end up having to crank up the brightness of their TV to max as well as the in-game, and even still have a chance of not knowing where they are. This is because the gaming world this time is so dark that not even the flashlight can help brighten it, as in previous installments, and instead feels more like a tease than an actual item. The main character is much different from any other in the series. He is well trained in the ways of the military, and can dodge and even aim at just the right spot, killing the monsters. Many longtime fans of the series, however, may be turned off mostly because the enemies feel more like obstacles in the player's way than actual threats. I found the new combat system alright. However, mostly because of the trouble of an almost limitless supply of enemies from time to time, along with the lighting issues. For the fans of the series that enjoyed the puzzles in the previous installments, may find the puzzles to be too simplistic in this entry. Not to mention the hard puzzle or two that you do find, if you goof up on it, does not reset. So if you mess up, you have to reset the game. So be sure to save often and frequently. The visuals, however, when not shrouded in darkness, are quite nicely detailed, especially when certain damage, such as the knife on the enemies, are used. It can sometimes leave nice cuts at the enemy. As well, the enemies' designs are downright horrifically done as excellently as usual. The change from the normal world to the Hell version is quite nicely done, and is fun to watch. You can definitely tell they used the movie as inspiration. The camera angles are much better done in this installment. However, from time to time, the voice actors and the lips of the characters from the game can be off track. Most fans will, however, tell you that it is the sounds within the game that can lead to scaring you, and they are correct. There were definitely a few times within the game that made me look around frantically, trying to kill something that was not there. Lastly, for the acting in the game, It is moderately done, like that of a bad horror movie from time to time. But in my opinion, this game makes that kind of thing work. The major saving grace of the game would have to be the music that the fans of the series has come to know and love. This is due part to the composer, who has worked on the previous titles, returning to make the music from time to time feel beautifully done, and from time to time it gives the game that bit of moodiness that has been known. The story is another big bonus. It can somewhat make up for the mistakes that the game has. It is well written and can captivate the player at certain points. The only problem with the story would have to ultimately be its 5 endings, as the worst endings were just being okay, the good endings kind of lame, and the famed UFO ending being the best ending this time around, at least in my opinion. Some of the best features of the game are the intense boss battles, along with the music and story. A few bad things about this game is it can lose its psychological horror factor that the series has been known for, and its non-brightness of the environment, and that it may disappoint some of the fans, mostly because of its quite apparent departure from its psychological predecessors. However, it's still a decent game, especially for some of the cult followers of the series. But if the player is looking for the old school Silent Hill, then they may want to stray from getting this game. Lastly, for those who like achievements, or only just play the games for achievements, this game has pretty easy achievements. The hardest achievements that could be acquired would have to be the collection of the drawings, Kaufman's medicine, and photos. The achievement for beating the game on the hardest difficulty is pathetic, especially if the player beats the game on its default setting and gets the UFO ending. They can then start a new game on the hardest difficulty and get the laser pistol in Alex's room and make mincemeat out of the enemies and bosses, especially since it has infinite ammo. There are also no online achievements, but for the most part, on a scale of how hard it is to acquire all the achievements from 1 to 10, I give this game a 3. So, the final score for Silent Hill Homecoming is a 7.0. For its great music, okay story, and its beautiful transformation to the hell version of the world. Thanks for joining me for episode 4, and I will be back for yet another show with a review of Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Till next time, good gaming, and see you for episode 5 of Atama's Review Corner.